Good morning, everybody. Today, Bharati Vidyapeeth Entrepreneurship Development Cell has organized this session. This session is around how a startup, a student startup, can raise funds. So this is very many entrepreneurs, many startups are very keen on this topic, on how we can collect funds, how we can find money, cash for to run the business. This is very important, as everybody know. Money is very important to have a sustaining business, and finding and knowing the ways to source fund is a very important piece of knowledge. So today we are going to talk about funding. So today's discussion will be broken down into what is funding, how funding impacts companies' evaluation, how the company gets valued, the stages. There are various stages of funding. How do we understand the growth? How do we raise fund and exit? So these are the topics that we are going to cover in today's session. So before we even talk about how to raise funds, it is very important to understand what funding is. For example, you go out in the market, you outreach to various investors. They invest, let's say, $100,000 with your startup. What are you going to do with that money? How you are going to ensure? Why an investor is giving you $100,000? What are the dynamics? What is the math involved? So before you take somebody else's money as an investment, it is very important for you to understand the dynamics of and the impact that money is going to make in your role of the company, your share of the company, investors gain, what investor get, how the company gets valued. These all things are very important. And I think before we talk about how to raise funds, it is imperative we discuss about what exactly funding means. What does it mean when you say we got funded? So we are going to talk about that in detail so that you understand the basics, if not everything, the basics of how funding works. So it all starts with an idea. It all starts with a vision. Two friends are talking about a problem they are very, they're fed up with. It's an obvious problem. There is a solution. It's a challenging solution, but can you crack it? So there is an idea. The idea involves solving a particular problem which is very obvious for everybody, and there is a market for it, right? So you are friends in college and you decide, okay, what we'll do is we'll become co-founders of the company. But what do we have to do? We have to identify, there needs to be an identifier. That we have to design the logo. We have to design the concept. What are we going to do? And we have to form the company. Now when we form the company, you need money. What do you need money for? There is something called capex. Capex means capital expenditure, something that the funds that are required to start something is called capex, or the setup cost. The company formation requires the cost. Your lawyers require the cost, your accountants require, for setting up the company incorporation. If you are setting up a company, you would require a digital presence. For that, you will require either a website or an app database for your server, right? Then there is something called OPEX. OPEX means operational expenditure, the expenses that are required on a monthly basis or on a recurring basis to keep your business running. So these are broadly, the kind of expenses: capital expenditure, and the running expenses, which is the OPEX, which are needed for you to start the business. Can you fund these expenses yourself? This is a general thought. Before asking money from somebody else, can we budget it ourselves? Can we arrange funds for these expenses? This is the first question. No, don't worry. What we can do is the first round of help that we require is from friends and family. Before going to the other investment agencies, we validate the idea amongst ourselves in a small group of friends and family and see if we get funding from friends and family. Let's take an example of one of the friend or a family member is very keen on and very intrigued by the idea that you have presented, and he wants to invest. You have now secured funding. Since you are at a very beginning, this kind of investment is called seed funding. Seed is a very early stage funding that you will get when you are at an inception or an ideation phase. You are just starting up. There is not an actual product, it's just an idea. So that level of funding is called seed level funding. Now, let's understand the math around it. What is the math around it? For example, when the company is being formed, there are some number of shares which gets allocated to the company. For an example, in this case, it's 100,000 shares. There are two founders, co-founders of the company, and they decide that, okay, we will share 50-50 of the company share. So each co-founder gets 50,000 shares of the company. Now, at this stage, you want to secure seed funding. For example, you say we will give you 20% of the company share in exchange for $50,000 of investment that you're going to make. If this deal materializes, then you are going to dilate your shares, which means now each co-founder has 40,000 shares and 20,000 shares are given to the new investor, the seed level investor. Now, if 20% of the company amounts for $50,000, then the total company is valued at $250,000. This is a very basic math. Now, for a company that is valued at $250,000, you own 40,000 shares of the company as a co-founder. So your worth of these shares are now $100,000. Pretty cool, right? It is first round of funding. You're already $100,000 worth on papers. Congratulations. You use that money for 1 year to sustain business, to reach out to your customers, to have a beta release, to refine your product, to have a scale plan. But now you're already at year one, 365 days has elapsed, and the funding that you have received of $50,000 now has used up. Let's talk about how to further grow the company, and we talk about Series A. After the seed level funding, after 1 year of business, or some usually 1 year of business, you secure another round of funding which is called Series A. Series A is not a seed level funding. It is a funding when you're already in business for, let's say, 1 year. What do you need money for again? After a successful beta trial with your customers, you're thinking about scaling your business further. You want to increase the number, not just the server. You want to rent a place. You want to hire a few people. You want to redesign your marketing strategies. You want to rework on your website. You want to add new features. These things will require additional fund. Now, in this case, you can ask for friends and family, but they may not be able to provide you the kind of capital raise that you require at this stage. Now, you will reach out to people who can not only provide you money, but can also provide their insights on what you can do with the money, how they can steer the business in a direction of growth. The friends and family can just provide you capital, money. But now at this stage, you want someone who can not only provide you money, but can also provide their advice. They can also mentor you. This is the time where we talk about angel investors and venture capitalists. So what is the difference between angel investor and venture capitalist? Angel investor is one person. Angel investor is someone who has already run a business that you are running or trying to run. He has already successfully exited from that business, already made a lot of money and recognition. He has an understanding and a great insight on how businesses run in that vertical, and he has a lot of connections, and obviously he has a lot of money. So that kind of person who invests in other persons, other businesses, is called angel investor. Venture capitalist is a person who works for venture capital firms. Venture capital firms are entirely different from angel investors, where VCs will take other people's money or their internal circulating money and invest in young and fast growing businesses. Now, the difference between the two is one has a lot of network, the other may or may not have a lot of network, right? So how we can secure the funding, what they are looking for. Business plan, you need to present the business plan. At this stage, the both the angel investor or VC may not be very much interested in the business plan, because that is something that will get refined once they understand the business. Once there are initial talks, there will be a lot of reforms in the kind of business plan that you may have. You may be thinking that this business is good for the retail, good for the end consumers, but they may come back and say, okay, from our experience, we feel that your business will flourish well in B2B, not B2C. Your business will do better if you're catering to other businesses rather than the end user. So what they're looking for the team. How good is the team? How good are the co-founders? Is it competent? Is the team strong? How qualified you are, how much talented you are, how much skilled you are, what is your mindset, what is your attitude. They care for this idea, the idea about is it special, is it really solving a problem, does it have a market, are people really in need of a solution that you're offering. Then they care about the progress, what you have done so far, what you have achieved, whether what you have achieved, is it promising, what could you achieve, how can you scale, is it even scalable. So these are the questions which they really care about, and this is where you may spark interest with the angel investors or the venture capitalist to fund your business. For example, you are in talks with few VCs and angel investors. You have some meetings. What you need to talk about is valuation. This is an entirely new term for you now. You never heard about valuation. You knew a little bit about valuation, but you didn't know that when you raise funds, you need to know a lot about this. So valuation, there are two kinds of valuation. One is before you get funded, that is pre-money valuation, and the one is after you get funded, which is post-money valuation. Post-money valuation is a number that you use with the investors, VCs or angel capital, angel investors. On this is the post-money valuation that you are proposing for the company. Right? Depending upon that, they will invest. The negotiations will happen with the pre-money valuations, what you have achieved, if there is a cash flow, how much cash flow you have, how many customers you have. Depending upon that, you will have a very strong negotiation on the post-money valuation that you're looking for. So let's say you reach out to 50 different investors, VCs and angel investors. You share the idea, they are interested, you set up a meeting. Out of that, you have two offers. One offer is from a VC and another offer is from an angel investor. A VC says, okay, I will give you $1 million for a company valued at $6 million. This is the post-money valuation. And you have another offer from the angel investor, which says, I will fund $500,000 at a certain post-money valuation. Which offer is good? VC gives you a better deal. However, angel investor has their network. This is smart money. The money that they're giving, they will be able to utilize properly. They will provide a lot more insight than a VC firm. What do? You take both the offers. How do we do that? We tell both the investors that we have a standing offer at a company valued at $6 million. So now you have $1.5 million of investment from both angel investor and venture capitalist. Now this means the new investors will get 25% of the company. Now, will you lose? How did we come at 25% of the company? You say that 6 million is the company valuation, and that is because of 1.5 million. So 1.5 million, is 25% of 6 million. Right now, 25% of the company's piece or ownership will now go to both VC and angel investors. Let me go back to the previous slide. Here you will see that initially each co-founder had 40%, the seed investor had 20%. Now with the new investment, there will be a proportional dilation of the stakes. Since there has to be new 25% to be allocated to the new investors, the dilation happens proportionally. So you will need to make room for new 25%. So the new number of shares or the percentage ownership of the company for each co-founder is now 30%, which is 75% of 40, and seed investor has now 15%. Now angel investor invested $500,000 and venture capitalist invested $1 million. So accordingly, they will have 16.7 for VC and 8.3% of the company to angel investor. Both cumulatively is 25%. Now, does your number of shares go down? No, you will not lose the number of shares. The company will now issue new shares for the new investors to buy. For example, initially the company was valued at, the pre-money valuation for the company was $250,000 for 100% of the shares. Now, same $250,000 are for 75% of the shares. So the new number of shares will be 33,000 additional shares because of the new investment, 25% being given to the new investment parties. So since they pay 1.5 million of their shares. Each share is valued at $45. Let me repeat this again. Initially, you had 100,000 shares, which was 100% of the company. Now, from that 100%, 25% goes to new investors. So 100,000 shares are not 100% now. It is now 75%. So 100% will be 133,000 shares. This means there will be new 33,000 shares for the investors. Since they are paying $1.5 million for this newly issued 33,000 shares, the value of one share of the company is now 45. This means you still get to own 40,000 shares of your company multiplied by $45, which means your ownership, your worth of the company, of your shares is now over $1.8 million. Pretty amazing, right? The issuance of these new shares for an investment is called capital raise. This is very important. We need to understand this, otherwise we will not be able to strike a good deal. We will end up losing a lot of ownership and the company value will go down. So this needs to be understood clearly. So let's say everything goes well, everything is going in according to your plan, and you raise not only series A, you also raise series B, C, and D, and so on. And hopefully with every investment, you are increasing the value of the company, and accordingly your shares, the value of your shares are increasing. So the math is going to remain the same. The how it is going to be for series A, it is going to be series B, C, and D. Now let's say you are at year 6, seed funding for first year, series A, B, C, and D for the rest of 5 years, right? You exhausted the money, you are now running a good business, customers love your product or service, they are extremely profitable, and now your business is going to
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Sorry, I got disconnected. Let me share my screen again. All right. So let's say you're at year six and uh, you have already rolled out a successful product. Your customers love your product, and now you are talking about exit. What's an exit? So exit is a discussion that investors of the company have when they want to sell their shares. So they invested in your company because of the profit that they were aiming for. They invested because they want to earn good fat profits. That is their intention. And fairly to say, that was a win-win situation, because now you are at a stage where you have successfully raised 5 rounds of funding and your business is looking promising. You have already captured the market, and now they would like to capitalize on the kind of investment that they did 5 years or 6 years ago, right? So exit is a term that is being used in a startup world where you sell the number of shares and convert that into actual money. So everyone who invested the money are aiming for big returns. Fairly simple. So what are the ways to exit? There are primarily two ways to exit. One is selling your company to a bigger company like Google, Tesla, Microsoft, Facebook. you know. And another way is you list your company for public offering, which is called IPO, initial public offering, where your company will be listed in stock market, where public can freely trade stock of your company. They can buy shares, they can sell shares, you can buy shares, you can sell shares. So these are the two primary ways of exiting. When you decide to go ahead and sell your company to a bigger firm, at this time mostly all your investors are going to cash in on the shares that they have. However, the company who is acquiring your business will ask the co-founders to stay, so that you can guide their team to run your product or service. So at this stage you may not be able to exit, because the other company who has acquired not just for the product but also for the team. So at this stage other investors may cash in, but you may have to stick around a little longer. Now when you sell the company, your shares will get converted to the parent company's share. So let's say you have been acquired by Google. Now instead of your own company, since your company is a part of Google, you will have few shares of Google, and that shares will be provided to you in multiple phases. You will not get all the shares together. This is called share vesting, which means you will need to accomplish few milestones, and when you successfully accomplish these milestones, you will continue to receive the full amount of shares that the company promised. And once you have the shares, you can decide to sell these shares in the stock market or to other investors to cash in. And stock market, IPO is fairly simple way where you have been enlisted. If you have good growth and you have good recognition, you have good market, people know about your brand, you enlist in the stock market, and you sell the shares on a daily basis. Daily the stock value may increase, go down. Depending upon that, you can trade the value of your shares. So these are the ways to exit. So I strongly believe that it was extremely important to first talk about what are the dynamics of funding, how what happens when you get funded, where the money gets allocated, how it gets allocated, How can it impact your ownership of the company? You founded the company, you need to have good amount of ownership. If you do not have good amount of ownership, you probably will be again an employee of your own company. You wouldn't want that. So in order to avoid all this, understanding the dynamics of how funding works is extremely important. So since now we understand what funding is, let's talk about sources. So sources are not very difficult most of the times when I interact with any startups. Once they understand the dynamics of how funding works and they know what is the mindset of an investor, it is very easy to secure a funding. So even if you Google about the angel investors or venture capitalists, they are, you know, you will get direct contact of them. Some of how do you reach out to them? So promote your business. Spread a social following. Attend trade shows, the events that are relevant to your business. Attend it. If you're in robotics, attend a robotic event. Attend, and obviously at this stage, currently we will not be able to attend any event or trade show, but I'm talking about normal circumstances when things get back to normal, when the events are going to be, obviously it is going to be, so attend those trade shows, meet new people, peers and investors, understand how others are working, engage with your competition, engage with the similar businesses that are there in what you are doing. Try to engage more with the consumer who is using the product. How can you improve the product? How can you provide a better offering? Once you do this, you are going to promote your business, and this is going to be visible when you speak to the investor, when you pitch for investment. How else can you promote your business? There are print campaign, newspapers, radio, TV commercials, social media, affiliation, flyers. There are so many ways you can market your product. You can market your startup at an early stage. And then once you have a strong footing on how to do the pitching, you reach out to the VCs and angel network of India. So I am just listing down a few venture capitalists which are renowned: Helion Ventures, SL Partners, Bloom Ventures, Sequoia, Nexus Invest, Inventors, IDG, Fidelity Growth, Naspers, and so many others up there, which are always keen on finding that one business that can make a difference. So VCs are always on the lookout. They want to invest in your business, provided you are able to convince them properly, provided you have a strong team, provided you have the right mindset. How do you outreach? You send emails, you reach out to them on LinkedIn, you convince them. They are going to respond because that's their job. VCs, a lot of times we feel that if you're emailing, they may not respond. They may respond most of the times, maybe sooner, maybe later, but it's their job to respond. If you have a promising presentation, if you have promising deck, if you have a promising idea, they will respond. Other times the incubators help you to connect with the investors. Our entrepreneurship development cell intends to do the same. Another thing that you need to be on always prepared is you should always be prepared to pitch your idea, pitch your product. Anytime somebody you're doing some other work, you are at a party, you're at an event, you are speaking with somebody. Suddenly there is an opportunity. The person you have been speaking with turns out to be a venture capitalist or an angel investor. Now is the time you want to present the idea, impress them. So you may never know. This means you will need to be always be prepared to present your product. So I will share this. Let's go through this video that I am going to share, and let's understand what is happening.
First into the tank is an entrepreneur with a solution to the dreaded chore of doing laundry.
I think the video is stopped. Let me see if the video can be played again. So this is
To the dreaded chore of doing laundry.
Manish, Sudeshna, can you confirm if you can see my screen, or is it the black screen that you're seeing?
Currently it is black, but we were able to see the beginning. I mean, it started off. We were able to see.
Is it black or is it visible?
Right now,
Hey, Sharks.
It's black.
My name
It's
is
black.
Maxwell Cohen.
Okay, so probably the Shark Tank is okay. So we may not be able to see the video. It is on Netflix, and probably Netflix realizes that somebody is sharing screen, and they may think that I am sharing, the screen with you. So okay, so let's skip this. Let's skip this session and this video, and I'll explain what Shark Tank actually is. The Shark Tank is a series where there are a group of angel investors, and I highly recommend each and every one of you to watch Shark Tank. So that is the live uh, pitching of idea and live investment that happens at the same time, that is recorded and presented to you. So that gives you an immense insight on what kind of questions investors ask. What are they? So if you go on and watch the entire series, by the end of watching the Shark Tank, you'll know, okay, these are the things that investors are looking for, and you will prepare yourself when you're pitching. So there are countless number of pitches that you can see, and you will realize why is one pitch being more preferred over other. So unfortunately I was not able to share the Netflix screen. However, I highly recommend you watch Shark Tank. That will give you immense insights on how valuation, pre-money, post-money valuation, the shares, how does it get divided, why it is important to have two standing offers, and much more insights. So another thing that I want to say is raising money is not that difficult once you understand if you are confident about your product, if your product is really special and it is solving an obvious issue that the customers are facing, then it is not that difficult to raise fund. What is difficult is to understand how you can use this money. So before you raise, you must understand money. So we are going to be open for questions now. So the questions are going to be very similar to how we had last time. You can ask your questions, punch in your questions. One person can coordinate with me and ask questions. So I'm open for questions.
Harpreet, one question is available at the chat room.
Okay, let me open. Can somebody say I am not able to access the chat room?
The question is from Surya Prakash. He's asking that will the investors fund for a new startup up till in terms of millions?
Of course, why not? If at an initial stage, so this is called seed funding. If there is an idea that is extremely important for the customers, there is a huge market base, then they are going to be investing in millions, and they are going to be keen on investing, because they're also looking for these kind of ideas, the groundbreaking idea that has great market share, that is promising, sustainable, scalable. If you can offer these at an initial stage, even at the ideation level, the investors are going to be very much keen in investing. However, realistically speaking, when we are there was a time when the startups were not many, 10 years before. At that time it was very easy to secure funding even for a poorly developed idea at an ideation phase without having anything. But today, investors have some expectations. They expect you to do some groundwork. They expect you to not only come up with an idea but also validate the idea. They expect you to run a usability testing with your market, with your audiences, and see if they're actually looking for something like this. So they expect you to do a lot of groundwork so that you present them with real statistics, real numbers that are promising for them to invest in your business at an early stage.
Any more questions from anybody?
Please ask as many questions. I have allocated a good amount of time for the Q&A, and I intend to answer a lot many questions. I know
There is one
this topic is
question,
very intriguing.
Harpreet, there is one question from Nikhil Nair. He's asking, is share always 50-50 or any range among partners? Is there any other specific range among the partners?
So there is no set rule of 50-50. This is depending upon how much value. So for an example, you have a co-founder who already is running something else. He cannot dedicate 100% of his time to your business. Then it is unfair to give him 50% of the revenue, right? So you say, okay, I will not give you 50% of the So you'll say, okay, I will not give you 50% of the shares. I will give you 25% of the share. Depending upon how much time they invest in the business, depending upon how much value they bring in. So depending upon that, the range changes. It is not a hard and fast rule that the co-founders will get 50-50. Another question from Surya Prakash. Are these private investors in any type of funding to be? No. So these are all funding done by private entity. So you can also secure funding from government. Government has also released some fundings for startups. However, getting to that is a tricky way. Easier way is VCs and angel investors. However, no one way is better than another. It is case to case basis. So there are funds allocated for the startups in India, for Maharashtra, Karnataka, so many other state and central government has issued the funding. But currently, as you can see, the situations, most of the fundings are being rerouted to the welfare of the the country as a whole. And at this stage, not many startups, unless they are contributing to the um, the resolving the pandemic, the coronavirus situation. Unless and until that's not happening, you may not get funded. So government bodies as well as non-government bodies both can provide you funding. Not just that, there is another thing, another topic which requires a special session in itself, which is called private equity. Like venture capitalist, there is something called private equity as well. PEs. There are financial institutions where you can take a loan. If that is sustainable, you are getting good cash flow, it is always a better idea to take a loan than taking an investment and share the part of your company. So if you are capable to pay the EMIs and the number of that is something which you need to take a judicious call and internally discuss whether it is more feasible or decisive to take money from a bank on interest or with an investor for percentage share. Open for questions. So this is another question from Surya Prakash. If we sell our company to the big company, what are the benefits we'll get to the founders and the employee of the company? The employee of the company will have a bigger company name. They have been working for a startup, now they work for a bigger company. For example, your company gets acquired by let's take a very simple example. WhatsApp was an independent company which later got acquired by Facebook. The employees of the WhatsApp are now employees of a bigger organization, Facebook. More stability, bigger infrastructure, better salary benefits. The founders, what will they benefit? They'll get a lot of value. The valuation of the companies go to a level where an unimaginable level where you cannot raise to that level. Now the worth of your share is bigger because now you not just share own the share of your own company. You get the ownership or a chunk of ownership of a parent company, bigger company, who has been in the industry way longer than you are. The shares are more sustainable. If they are an IPO, you can sell the shares depending upon how they structure your share vesting of your shares. Over time you can sell those shares. So eventually you will have your net worth will increase, and you will have a better return on the when you sell. Sumit asked another question. So what if the funding in startup and it is falling down, means there is no growth in a startup, still it will get funding for a year or more? No. The answer is no. If your startup is failing, this is the fact. You will not get funding if your numbers are going down. You will always need. So there are two different things. The real VCs. So VCs care about having a bigger value of the company, even though the company is not making profit. And this is where the other kind of investors come in, which is private equity. Private equity come at a very later stage, where your company is already growing. They see that your business is stable, and then they start investing. Private equity PEs care about growth. VCs care about valuation. Even if your company is not making profit or even going in loss, if you are able to raise value of your organization, you will continue to receive funding. This is the strange math that follows in the startup ecosystem. But if it is pretty clear that the market is not responding to your product, people are not buying your product, then the other investors will not make an investment. What is the backup plan if no growth is seen? If there is absolutely no way that a customer is sees any value in your product or service, the backup is you rework on your business plan. Is there something that you can do, some changes in the primary business model to add value, or I need to entirely shut this project, shut this business, and start something else? So that can be the backup. Another so one thing is the investment, the seed level investment, or the series A level investment. The company goes down and bankrupts, then you will not see a single dime of that investment ever. That is the hard fact. So backup should be, how can you provide better value to the consumer? If the consumers are buying your service or product, the investors are going to be more keen. Next question: which one is good, to run a small startup by getting funding through angel VC or taking a loan? So this is so when you take a loan, you need to repay the loan. The EMI start from next month. If you have a business which is generating some cash flow and you are capable to pay those EMIs, it is always better to take a loan. Because when you take money from the angel investor or VC, the challenge is you share the part of your company, and that is not going to change. You obviously there, when you understand why we require money, how much importance that money will have, how much impact it is going to have on growth, considering all these factors, you decide, okay, I am willing to share part of my company in exchange for funds. If that seems like a good idea, then
It's 10
you
hours.
take the investment from the angel investors and VCs. If you have sustainable business, cash flow means every month your business is generating cash. If that is at least to an extent where you can pay your EMIs, it is always better to take loan than taking money from angel investors or VCs. If an angel investor, again, angel investor is someone who has already done what you're doing. Angel investor is someone who knows a lot of people, who has a huge network. What you're doing today, he has done this 10 years ago. He has learned from his mistakes or her mistakes. You can gain a lot much valuable insights than money. So you decide at that point what is more valuable to me. The angel investor is going to give me a lot of value in terms of their advice. They'll connect me with a lot of businesses for business to grow. Obviously, it is their interest. They're investing their money in the shares in the company. It is also their interest to grow the company. So they'll do their very best to ensure you grow. So that depends upon case to case basis. What are the government-based startup business loans offer? At this time, Shravani, I do not have a list of all the government-based startup, but there are many plans that government has released. At this time, all these funds are being locked because of coronavirus pandemic. Most of the funds are being, even though they do not claim, they claim otherwise, there is rerouting of these funds to rescue our country from coronavirus pandemic. So at this time, it is extremely difficult to secure government funding. However, if your product is helpful in solving the crisis, then that's a different story. Surya Prakash also shared another question. In case once the share has been shared with the investor after 6 months or 1 year, can we take our share back from them? Yes, you can. You can ask. You can buy your shares back, provided they are willing to buy. An investor invests in the company for profit. If they see that, okay, the current value of one share, in our case it was, you valued it for $6 million, and you share 25%. The value of one share was 45, and if you have to buy that 33,000 shares, you will need to pay them $1.5 million. So do the math. Do you want to do it? Is it feasible? Is it something that you would like to do? More questions, please.
Any more questions from anybody?
I know everybody likes this topic. Everybody wants to know about funding and about money. It is very intriguing. Ask. Even if you feel that the question is stupid, don't worry. I'll answer that. Even if you feel the question is silly, no problem. I'll answer that. Another question from Deepak. Deepak is asking, if we are selling shares to VC and angel, do they become stakeholder of the company? Yes. So when you are buying a company's share, this means you are sharing a part of company. You have some ownership of that company. The percentage of that ownership is primarily how much stocks of that company you own, how much shares of the company you own, divided by total number of shares. If there are 100,000 shares, you own 50,000 shares from that 100,000. That means you own 50% of the company. Obviously, as and when the company grows, the number of the percentage is 0.001, 0.002, but is also again very profitable depending upon what is the value of each share and how much number of shares you have. So yes, when you sell the shares to VC, which is primarily capital raise, the topic that we covered today, capital raise, you issue new shares of the company depending upon the post money valuation, and this is called capital raise. So when you sell these shares, they become co-owners of the company. Rohit is asking another question. Do we receive profit if we gain loss in between of any process at the end? Okay, so this is a tricky question. As a co-founder of the company, when you raise fund, there are two types of expenses. One is capex and the other one is opex. Capex means capital expenditure, which is primarily to run a business, to even start a business. What kind of expense do I need? I need an office, I need a server. This is required before even you start operating, which is called capital expenditure, in short, capex. Operational expenditure or opex is primarily what kind of money you require to run the business on a day-to-day basis. In that capital expenditure, you also have to issue salaries to your employees. And when you are running a business with a set cash flow, you also set a salary for your co-founders, including yourself, because you are working for the company. You would also require money for yourself. So you decide amongst the stakeholders, amongst the board members, what salary should a CEO has. So co-founder is not a designation. Co-founder is primarily a role that this person has co-founded the company. And after co-founding, I take responsibility of, let's say, CEO, which is growing the business of the company. and your friend or your other co-founder decides that, okay, I'll take care of tech. I become a VP of technology, or I become the CTO of the company. Depending upon that, you may decide, okay, for every role we have this kind of salary structure. For CEO we are paying this per month, for CTO we are paying Y per month, for employees at a management level we are paying this per month. So every month you will still get the money. So at the end of the day, even after trying your best, the company does not turn out, you will lose value of your shares. The amount of share that you have, you will lose value because the company has gone bankrupt. The value of the company has gone down to zero. So your value of your share is zero. However, the money that you have earned from your salary is going to stay with you. Another question from Manish. Manish asked, if you want to sell the company, how to initiate the process of selling the company. So selling the company is primarily exit. So this is where your investors will help you a lot, because exit is the ultimate motive of the angel investor or a venture capitalist. However, private equity are not looking for exit. Private equity is looking for growth. So your VCs and your angel investors are going to guide you on how to initiate conversations with a bigger company who wants to. So let's restart the conversation from a different perspective. There is a big company. That big company wants to initiate a new vertical. They will not start from ground up. What they want is they want to buy or purchase experience. They want to buy other company who has already done a lot of groundwork, already acquired a lot of customers, already acquired a lot of market. They are going to buy that company because they have a lot of money. What they do not have is time. So they'll trade time for money. And this is where you can come in. When you are running your business, always keep an open eye on the bigger companies who are remotely close to what you are doing. For example, if you are creating a tracking mechanism for a car, you want a tracking mechanism for a car, the kind of company that you should be on the lookout for is car manufacturers. Hyundai, or Ola, even Ola, Uber. These are now unicorn startups valued at a great level. You can keep an open eye on these companies, strike your connections, and see if you can strike a deal. So selling a company is very much similar. The things will get easier for you once you raise a lot of money. The investors will bank on you. They'll back you up. The VCs will back you up. The angel investors will talk good about you. So they will help you to gain a good credibility when you want to sell the company or have an exit strategy. Avinash asked another question. How is valuation of any product or an organization is done? So the value of an organization is something that we discussed in this session today. And value of the product, we'll talk about that. So value of an organization is based on pre-money valuation and post-money valuation. For an example, I think my idea is amazing. I think there is a good market for that. So I propose a post-money valuation. If I propose a post-money valuation, I will say, okay, I will give you this percentage of my share. For example, if you own 20% of the company, and for 20% you give me $50,000, the company is $50,000 times 5. So the 100% of the company is now valued at $250,000. This is how valuation works. Valuation change every time you raise capital for the company. When you raise capital for the company, there are issuance of new shares. These new shares, when given to the new investor at a new post money value, will again give you a new company's worth. So this is how companies valuation is done. The product valuation is entirely based on how consumers are using your product. If you have a niche and you have a market, then the value of your product goes high. You can sell that product at a premium rate because nobody else is doing, nobody else can do. That is where the valuation of product can be done. If your target audience is high net individuals, HNIs, then the value of that product is going to go up. It depends upon the market value of your product. So this is how the valuation of a product now and the valuation of organization is done. There's another question we have from Surya Prakash. Who will decide the funding amount, a founder or an investor? Both decide, because this is kind of negotiation, depending upon how much money you want, whether you're looking for money more than that. Do you think that is a wise idea? How much percentage of your company are you willing to share with the new investors? So this is a cumulative decision that both the founding parties and the investors take together. Another question from Deepak: do we need to discuss the decision from investors based on company's profit and loss? Yes, investors play a very important role in deciding a lot of things. They even guide you on, even if you need to reposition your company, even if you need to rebrand your company, a lot of decisions get steered by investors. If you have investors had a bigger stake in the company, they will have bigger control on the decision making. So yes, the decisions need to be again cumulative. You do own the company, but then you have something called board members who are the biggest stakeholders of the company. They meet, they decide on the decisions together. Surya Prakash asks another question: what does an angel or VC look for while investing in a startup, except the idea of the startup? So apart from the idea of the startup, this is something that we also covered in our session today, that they're looking for the team. How strong is the team? How confident you are? Are you coachable? Can you be mentored? How much you have already done. Is the business model that you are the idea that you're doing, does it has a market? Is market responding to that? Do you generate stimuli? Is there a response to your product? So these are the things that investors really are very keen on, and they're also very keen on the kind of numbers that you have generated. What is the, if you're generating a product that retails at say $10, and the make cost of that is $9, you have a profit of 10%, where it is extremely difficult for an investor to see value of their investment, because they see that since you do not have much margins, you may always be running in loss. So these are some things that investors are very keen on. Next question: how does an investor decide what my value should be now? So that is not decided. That is something that after the post money valuation, the value of each share get, and they automatically know, okay, after the post money valuation, if the capital raise generated these many shares for me, and value of each share is, say, let's say $50. I have 10 shares of the company, so I have $500. My worth is $500. So this is how the investors decide what actual their worth is. The value can be also in terms of non-monetary, the kind of value that they're adding in terms of adding their network. That is something that we cannot measure. So I hope this answered your question, Deepak. Please ask more questions. I think we have 12 more minutes. Please do. Please ask, Deepak. How to value startup with no revenue? This is your skill, your confidence, how you're pitching. So see, the investors at an early stage, like I said, they do not care about business plan. They do not care about business model, because they know that this is something that needs to be pivoted. This is something that will be changed. What they're looking for is there a market for that? Since they have been doing this, the investors have been doing this since years, they understand exactly when they hear an idea if there is a real market for that or not. Unfortunately, I couldn't show you the video of Shark Tank. In that, you would have seen, they are very keen on uh, the attitude of the co-founder, what they have done, the numbers, how many customers they have. So that's how they invest, even if you have no revenue. Manish asks another question: will my asset count at the time of evaluation? So your personal assets is going to be yours when you start a company. So this is something which a lot of people will tell you, which is good to hear, that never invest your own assets unless you're 100% sure. There's always a guarantee that startup is a very risky business, and you do not want to invest your own assets. You want fluidity. You want to liquidate. If you liquidate cash from your assets, you use it, you burn out, and you're left with nothing. So always manage your assets properly. See how much of your assets can you invest, and how, is it wise to do so? So assets are difficult to build. So let me tell a little bit about asset. Asset is something which is generating fund for you. Your car is not your asset. Your home, if you're living in it, is not your asset. Anything which is generating fund for you is an asset. Everything else is a liability. So there are two types: assets and liabilities. And when your liability stops performing, or your asset stops performing, it is called non-performing asset, NPAs. So these are the banking terms which are being used. If there is an asset which is generating revenue, my advice to you will be, do not change anything in your asset unless you want to increase the kind of value that asset is generating. Surya Prakash asked another question: is due to coronavirus, COVID-19, are the startups still getting funding? Yes, the show is going on. Show must go on. Obviously this is a setback. However, because of this situation, it has created a lot of new opportunities for these startups. Many startups have, because what is a startup? Startup is a solution to a specific problem, and we are in a lot of issues because of coronavirus. There are a lot of problems to solve, so there are a lot of ideas that are coming up to solve these problems. And when these problem you come with the solutions to these critical problems, you are bound to get funding from investors. They are going to be very keen, because they're also very cognizant and aware, okay, these are the issues that we are facing today, and this solution can make a real impact. So even in the situation of coronavirus, you can still get funded. Another question from Deepak: is there any difference between startup valuation and mature business valuation? Not really. The dynamics of valuation remains the same. The only thing is, the investor looks at the VCs look at the bottom line. The PEs, the private equity, look at the top line. So depending upon what they're looking for, the value is subjective to them. So for example, VCs care about value of the company. What is the net worth of your company? They may not be very much keen on the profitability. However, the private equity firms are more keen on the profitability. They may not be very much keen about the company value. So even if a company is being valued at $1 billion, there are still businesses that are not making profits. Ola, even today, is not making profit. Obviously today, they are completely stopped there, but before the pandemic, even valued at a very high number, they were still not making profits. So that is very subjective. After the coronavirus crisis, do we have the scope of starting any startup? I think, Rohit, this is the best time for startups, because you can find many problems to solve. The market is going in a reset mode. The businesses are going in a reset mode. Even the established businesses are now at a standstill. So when situation comes to normalcy, you will be on a same starting point as other mature businesses who are there in the business from past 10 years. So this gives a lot of competitive advantage to even the newcomers in the business, because the market is resetting for everybody. So do not, if you have a amazing idea, do not wait for things to stabilize. This is the best time to hustle. This is the best time to start ideating your ideas. Rohit asked another question: do we receive profit from it at the end? Obviously you're doing for profit only. Profitability and value are two different things. If I, as a co-founder, I have so many shares of the company, the overall company valuation is, let's say, $10 billion, and the company is still not generating profit. But if I am able to sell those shares and exit from the company, now I have generated profit, but the company has still not generated profits. So these are two different things. At the end, how do you want to play the dynamics is upon you. And more, you run your business, you have a better idea. So this is different for everybody. For others, profitability of the end user is more important. From there they get more profit. For others, raising the value of the company is more profitable, irrespective whether you're making profits or not. So two different things. How to determine startup cost and other expenses? You list it down. You see what you need today. Do you really need an office? No. In pandemic, you do not need office. You need to work from home. Second, do you need employees? Can you do it yourself? If so, you will need to learn a lot of things. How much time will it take? Will you be able to do it properly? Do you need to start something soon? If you learn, it will take time. Yes, you will need to hire somebody. So these are the questions you ask when you are starting an idea. Obviously a lot of things will not be 100% accurate. You will be able to properly understand once you start doing it. Once you are 20% in, you will get an idea of another 30-40%. When you're again 30-40% in, you will get an idea about next 50-60%. So as and when you progress, you will get a clearer vision of these estimates. There's another question from Sudeshna. What happens when I need more funding? Is it easier to get the next round of funding? It is fairly easy because if you have already raised at a seed level or a Series A level, when you go and pitch in for Series B, it is fairly easy because Series B investors will see value that Series A people, the investors who have invested in Series A, they'll see value because they know they have already evaluated the startup at their level, and because they have they found value, they invested. So this sets a very good precursor for the new investors to invest money. So it gets fairly simple. So yeah. Deepak asked another question: do we have to change our plans according to market if we are still making profits from it? See, if you want to continue making profit, your business plan need to be updated every now and then. The market changes. Market is very dynamic. The things that were working, last year may not work most of the time this year. Also you need to provide, dynamic offering to your customers so that they stay interested. Why one company comes up with different product ideas? Because they want to keep the slate fresh. They want to keep people guessing, okay, this is a new product, let's buy it. So even if you're profitable, you will need to think about growth. So offering and changing your business ideas, business plans, revisiting it is a good idea if you're really looking for scaling. I think we have 1 more minute. Okay, we'll close in for questions then. If there are any further questions, you may reach out to Sudeshna ma'am or Manish sir, and they will get me your questions, and we can arrange another discussion to answer all your questions. And I would like to thank each and every one of you to attend this session 9 a.m. in the morning. And thank you for being patient. Thank you for listening throughout this session. Manish, Sudeshna, I'll give it to you to take control. I am stopping the screen share.
Thank you, Harpreet. Thank you for such an informative session. I think students will be benefited, especially those who want to start their own startup, maybe looking in future after completing their course. And thanks to students, those who have joined. I was expecting more students, but this time numbers are less. I know session was not a technical session, but it was very much important in terms of, if you start your own business.
Yes.
So thanks to all.
Pleasure is all mine. Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye. So students, feedback form is shared with you. Click on the link of feedback, fill up the feedback form and submit. Before leave the session, click on feedback, click on the link of feedback and submit the feedback form.